guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the Masters of the Universe Club Grayskull Filmation styled Fisto. That is right, my friends. We're continuing on with a look at the new figures from Super 7, which contains a whole bunch of new figures based on their appearances in the original Filmation He-Man and the Masters of the Universe animated series. And if we remove the slipcover here, we can see our animated style Fisto inside of this Castle Grayskull themed window box packaging. Perfectly fits in line with what we've seen for the other Club Grayskull or Filmation styled action figures from the lineup there. And when we rotate this around to the back side, we've got that great animated appearance of Fisto standing in front of Castle Grayskull in the background, and we've even got a brand new bio for the character on the bottom of the packaging. So why don't we go ahead and pull Fisto outside of the box and get a closer look at him. Alright, we got Fisto outside of the package. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at him. We'll start things off with the scale. So you can see the figure stands right around 7 inches tall, exactly as expected. Fisto is one of those characters whose vintage action figure actually translated to Filmation cartoon pretty flawlessly. I mean, you look at this guy and he just looks like Fisto, which is one of those things that kind of makes you wonder why we needed to get a Filmation version of him, but he does have a great animated appearance and he stands out from the other release of Fisto, which I'm going to show you guys here in just a bit. But before we do that, let's go ahead and just look at the overall basics of this guy. The head sculpt here is pretty great. I love it. I think he does a great job of capturing the look of the character from the animated series. I do want to point out, though, it's a weird thing that I've had going on with a lot of my Super 7 figures this time around. The pigmentation of the skin tone is real strange around the face there, and it looks like it's just the way that the plastic might have been mixed or something. I don't know, and I don't even know if that comes across on camera, but it's like it's lighter and it kind of gets a little darker and swirlier in the middle there. I don't know. It's a little strange. It's really only noticeable on the face on this figure. The rest of the figure seems to look just fine. Now his torso is fully sculpted, so it's a brand new sculpt there because it's got the Fisto armor. And this is all just painted, and it's that kind of flat paint that they use for a lot of the Filmation figures to give them that more animated look. So it's almost got a bit of that chalky nature to it, and unfortunately there's already a bunch of paint chipping right out of the box. I mean, my figure came out of the box missing chunks of paint here and under the arm over here. So that's a letdown. I really dislike that, and I just don't really like these flat paints that they've been using on these figures because they've got such this terrible tendency to chip like that. I don't know, it's kind of been ongoing with a lot of the Filmation style figures. The fist is done in the same way. You can see it's got this kind of flat color there. It doesn't have any paint problems, and it's actually a good sculpt. It's a different sculpt from the other fist, so that's worth noting. It's actually a little bit bigger, which you'll see in just a bit here. But, I don't know. So, like, they use the flat colors on the torso and the fist to give them that more animated look. But you can see that the plastic used has got that gloss to it, which we've had some very glossy plastic recently. But also, like, the furry loincloth and the belt are much glossier, and the boots are glossy. So it's weird. I don't really get why we had to have the flat colors here and here, but nowhere else. It's a bit of a strange look, and it stands out to me. I don't know, it may not stand out to you, but it definitely stands out to me, and I think it doesn't help that, when I've got them under the studio lights, you could really see like the shiny parts, the glossy parts compared to the flat parts, and it looks a bit strange. Aside from that, aside from my weird nitpicks about the paint, the overall sculpt is really great on this guy. I think he looks really good. Let's talk about the articulation. So that head's on that standard joint that can look left, right, slightly up and down, a little bit there. We got nice tight ball joints at the shoulders. They got that real kind of clicky ratchet thing going on there. They can move forwards and backwards as well. Swivels at the bicep. Pretty good tight joints at the elbows, swivels at the wrist, and hinge joints at the wrist. By the way, Fisto's got is a character that he doesn't have a wrist bracer on over on the left here from his Filmation appearance. And that stands out. I don't know, I've never noticed that before because, it kind of the sculpt with the articulation there, it just stands out that he's not wearing the wrist bracer. I don't know, just another weird thing that I noticed. You can also swivel the big fist over here, so that's worth noting as well. He does have a swivel at the waist there. You got the ball-like hinges at the thighs they're a bit loose on this guy. You can see how flexible they are there. But they can also go forwards and backwards and swivel. You got real tight knee joints on this guy, which is great. You got that ratchet thing going on there. Swivels at the boot. You got your standard boot cut, you know, no pins in the ankles, which is great. And you can kind of rock them side to side there, but mostly up and down works the best with those. So overall, pretty good articulation. It's good and tight on this guy all the way through. He's just a very solid figure. Now, he only comes with one accessory in the form of his classic purple sword. This looks a lot like the sword that came with the original toy. It's just missing the little hand guard there. But he can hold that in his left hand, his normal hand. There we go. It's a bit of a tight grip. It's worth noting that it, too, is made of that very chalky, flat paint. Or it's got the flat purple paint, not made of it, but it's painted with that flat paint. So it's got that kind of chalky look to it. So it might cause some peeling with the grip of the hand there, so it's worth noting. But it does look great, and it kind of gives you that chance to arm him up with that purple sword, just like the vintage toy. Alright guys, it's comparison time. Let's go ahead and take a look at the new Filmation Fisto standing alongside the Masters of the Universe Classics release, which is to this day one of my absolute favorite figures from Classics because I think the details on that guy were absolutely tremendous. So you could really see the difference between the Filmation style and the Classic style when we put these guys side by side. So there you go, my friends. There is a look at the brand new Club Grayskull Filmation style Fisto. Honestly, this is not one of those characters I would have chosen to see as a Filmation figure, but he turns out just fine. I think the sculpt is great. Overall, he's a very solid figure. I've got my same nitpicks about the paint that's used on there, but otherwise, he's a pretty solid figure, and if you're a fan of Fisto, specifically the cartoon series, I think you'll really enjoy adding this particular figure to your collection. So this guy was sold by pre-order only through Super 7's website, so at this point, if you're hoping to add him to your collection, you're going to have to track him down for sale on the secondary market. So happy hunting, my friends! Hey guys, thank you so very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button, leave me a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, my friends.